Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, California Weather Watch. Today is March 24th, and right now we are looking at the precipitable water map here. You can see the Hawaiian Islands to the bottom left. There's California right here. What we're going to do here is we're going to put this into motion and watch this moisture associated with this Kona storm out here that was impacting the Hawaiian Islands for the past few days. And you can see this moisture kind of get hung up out here, and it's just waiting for this polar lobe to drop down with it. And this big clash of temperatures aloft is what's going to stir and spawn this storm here. And you can see the organization of that deep low pressure and start to throw precipitation back into California here. Strong winds, big low pressure, mountain snows. Here we go again, folks. And we're kind of in wait and see mode here just to kind of try to pinpoint some of the details of the storm, but you can clearly see it develop there on last night's European model run. Now we're looking at the infrared satellite imagery, and if you look closely there, you can see where that Kona low is, the low pressure system spinning there, and subtropical moisture just kind of hanging out of the Pacific Ocean, waiting for this polar lobe that's now across Alaska to drop down across the Gulf of Alaska here, and then that tight pressure gradient, that clash of temperatures is going to develop that storm system here. This is going to bomb out. It's going to become a bomb cyclone. Most likely will drop 24 millibars in a 24-hour period off the coastline here and become a strong low pressure system and bring somewhat of an atmospheric river into the state of California. Some strong winds, some mountains, snows. You guys know the drill so far this winter slash spring. Now we're looking at the NAM 12 km. This is a little bit lower resolution of the North American model here. And if we put it into motion here, you see we do get this break coming up here. By the time you get into Sunday night, though, you can see that storm system arriving, organizing off our coastline on into Monday morning, and then that frontal system starts to make its way down towards California here. So it's picking up on the short-term models here. Confidence is increasing in this storm's development off the coastline. This is looking at 700 millibars, somewhere up towards 10,000 feet. And if you see Alaska, Washington, Oregon is here, check out this cold air up over Alaska here. This is last night's European run, by the way, and you can see this cold air here. You can see a bit of it break off there in this polar lobe that comes barreling off the British Columbia coastline there and hangs out over the Pacific Ocean, and that's what's generating this storm. It's going to meet up with some subtropical air like we saw on that Kona low, really cast a powerful gradient here, develop, bomb out on the coastline there, and impact California as we go through next week. This is looking at accumulated max 10-meter wind gusts. So again, we've got Hawaiian Islands here, we've got California there. Now watch and see what we mean by bomb cyclone here. Watch what happens. All of a sudden, you'll just kind of see these winds just develop here rapidly as we go through Monday night into Tuesday morning. That's that cyclone out there, mid-latitude cyclone bombing out off the coastline. So just thought you guys would like to see that visual representation of what's going on at the surface there across the ocean. And this will impact some areas of California here as we go. And we'll detail things like that as we get closer, just how strong the winds are going to be. And it just depends on how close this low pressure center gets and how strong the gradient is on the south side of that storm. But again, now we're looking at the Kona low again here with that moisture here, and you'll clearly see the polar lobe kind of drop down out of the north here and meet up with that energy from that Kona low, and really just an intense gradient, very intense storm coming up here just offshore of California, and very, it matters just where this low positions here. The further it stays offshore, the less windy it's going to be across some of the areas of California here. But the closer it gets, of course, obviously that gradient's going to be even stronger. But either way, it's going to put a pretty impressive fetch of moisture across the state here as we go through Monday on in through Tuesday and Wednesday. As you can see this pivot down across the state. And, the Europeans kind of been showing this low pressure system still being quite robust by the time it's hanging out across the Bay Area and Central California again. But we've got a few days to watch those details as we go. This is looking at 2,500 feet, about 925 millibars, and you can see again, here's that moisture out there. Here comes the polar lobe diving down out, and you can see that moisture get entrained into the system there, and that low pressure system impacting California here. So just some nice visual representations of what's going on here for you over the next few days. This is looking at the European on the left versus the GFS on the right. And we're going to take a look at this kind of ridging. We're getting this break right now, but then you can see that. Look how fast this low pressure system develops. You're looking at about a 1016 millibar low here, and that's where the development occurs. And look at that. That's what, 16 plus 13 is 29 millibar drop there in about 24 hours. That equals that bomb cyclone status shown by both the GFS on the right and the European on the left there. And you can see the European wants to bring that powerful center closer to the Bay Area versus what the GFS is showing. So those are the kind of details we need to work out here over the next couple of days as the system kind of taking its sweet time to dissipate too across the state of California. And this is looking at the European ensemble versus the GFS ensemble. This shows all the low pressure center locations here, and it kind of gives us an idea of confidence here as we go. You can see the GFS actually a little bit deeper with the low, but a little bit further offshore there, and you can see each individual ensemble member low pressure center here. So we have pretty good confidence of a low pressure system developing somewhere off the shoreline there of Northern California, and the GFS shows it as well. So we're starting to get pretty high confidence in the system here coming up. And being at, what is today, Friday, and this is going to be impacting the state starting Monday most likely. This is total precipitation in inches. This is the GFS model. Actually, let's update this because we're going to get the 12Z data in here now, and let's put that into motion here. So now we're going through Sunday here. Sunday afternoon rolls around, and you can see the system developing offshore there and start to bring that subtropical moisture back into the state here as we go on in through Tuesday afternoon. This would be on in through Wednesday morning, and this would be on in through Thursday morning shown here. So you can see some pretty hefty precipitation amounts coming for some of the Sierra Nevada, a lot of which will be in the form of snowfall. Again, another round of heavy rain possible for some of the coastal areas here. And, this is probably going to change. There's bound to be some surprises if this low pressure center hangs up, at all off the coastline. It's going to bring higher precipitation amounts across the region. And the European and some previous model runs have been showing a nice bullseye of precipitation through Southern California as well. So we're taking that with a grain of salt at this point. Let's update this as well. And we'll get the 12Z data for the GFS, total snow 10-to-1 ratio playing out here. You can see we are getting a little bit of snowfall, very light amounts though across the Sierra Nevada between then. And then as we bring Monday along here, you can see that storm system start to drop this precipitation in the form of snowfall across the Sierra Nevada. We are already at snow water equivalent records here across much of the Sierra Nevada here. And we are going to add to it here, folks, as we go through the end of March with this storm system coming up here. After that, we might get a break, but we'll take that one day at a time here because you never know after a big storm like that. The models are going to be changing once we get further into the future. So right now we expect, probably going to be a few more feet of snow coming for the Sierra Nevada as we go through the upcoming week here. This is looking at maximum individual wave height. If we put this into motion, here goes this polar lobe, and watch this thing develop. Boom. Some pretty big waves going to be associated with this. Could be impacting portions of the Bay Area and the Central California coastline, potentially swinging down through Southern California as well as we go through the week. So, yeah, multiple impacts to this storm coming up here. Confidence is increasing. This is 6 to 10 day temperature probability outlook. You can see the bullseye here on California. Precipitation, no difference there. This is looking out towards, this is March 16th. This is May here, and this is seasonal temperature outlook. Now we're going to go through the summer here as well. So take a look at this. This would be for June. Does include California above average temperatures. Here we go on into July. Look at that. You can see the warm, the above average signal, at least I should say here, for a lot of the West Coast down through the Southwest, across Texas as well. Look at August. Strong signal across the West Coast. September again. October again. So we could potentially have an above average temperature-wise across the West Coast here for a lot of California. But again, take this with a grain of salt. We're just looking at climate data that goes out to the extent it's just a probability forecast here. And as you know, it doesn't always equal what's going to happen, but it is a fairly strong signal right now. This would be through November, December there. And this is one more look here at the snow water equivalent. We looked at this yesterday as well, and this storm is going to bump us up a bit here as well, so we may stay above the all-time record here and continue to set snow water equivalent records. So basically, if you took that snowpack up there in the Sierra Nevada and you melted it down, the average comes out to close to 70 inches of water, which is just huge amounts of water, potential energy stored up across the higher terrain there. So we're hoping we don't warm up too quickly, or we don't bring another sinister atmospheric river in here to tap into some of that and and do a lot of melting. Because once we get closer to April here, you know, things are warming up and we're really going to be eroding into the snowpack. And you can kind of see how this tails off pretty quickly here. You can see the historical median in this green line. By the time you get towards mid-April, this really starts to melt quickly. So if we have a big snowpack up there and we start to bring some warm temperatures in there, or, you know, another strong storm system out here, we could really put a dent in that snowpack and be dealing with flooding all the way in towards early May potentially there. So yeah, just thought I'd point that out there. Very interesting times here across the state of California. The never-ending winter / spring of 2023 just continues. And, you know, after the storm system coming up here, we'll just keep watching what's coming in the future as well. And we'll try to pinpoint how this snowpack is going to do as we go on in through the extended. But anyway, yeah, another storm is on its way, guys. We have high confidence it's going to set up shop here somewhere off the Northern California coast, probably sink down towards the Bay Area and include Southern California. It looks like most of the model runs are showing some impacts down through Southern California as well. So we'll continue to watch this day by day. We'll break it down. We'll take another close look at this tomorrow. So anyway, yeah, hope you guys are having a good day. Stay safe out there. I hope you guys are cleaning up during the break and getting prepared for the next storm. And we'll do this again tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys then.